stop for 1 second. What you're seeing right now on the screen in front of you isn't actually the present moment. It's an edited version of the past. Sounds absurd, right? Your eyes are open. Light is pouring in. The image looks clear and sharp right now. But here's the truth. From the moment light hits your eyes to the moment your brain finishes building that image for you to perceive, there's a delay. A tiny one, but a real one. And here's the part that matters more. Your brain never tells you about that delay. It quietly hides it, then hands you a seamless experience, as if nothing happened at all. So here's the big question for today. If your brain has already been editing reality before it shows it to you, how much of what you're experiencing right now can you actually trust? And why would a brain considered one of the most sophisticated things in nature choose to lie to its own owner? The answer is going to change the way you look at your entire experience of being alive. Let's start with a simple fact from physiology. Every sensory signal takes time to process. Light hits your eyes. That signal travels through the optic nerve. Your brain receives it, processes it, and only then creates what you call seeing. This entire process happens incredibly fast, but it's not instant. It takes time, even if it's a very short amount. In other words, what you're seeing right now is actually an image of a moment that has already passed. You're always living slightly behind the present. You just never feel that delay because your brain never shows you the raw data. It only hands you the final, smoothed-out edit. Researchers in cognitive science call this a form of continuous prediction. That means your brain doesn't simply record the world like a camera. It constantly predicts what the world will look like in the next instant, then compares that prediction against the incoming signals to correct itself. You don't see reality. You see your brain's best guess at reality. That sounds unsettling, but this is only the beginning of the story. Here's a very concrete example to help you picture this. At the back of each eye, there's a spot where the optic nerve passes through the retina, connect to the brain. Right at that exact point, there are no light sensing cells at all, which means there's a real gap in your vision right now as you experience this. But do you see that gap? No. Why not? Because your brain automatically fills it in based on what surrounds it, kind of like an automatic editing tool patching a missing section of an image. And it guesses well enough that you never suspect a thing. There's another detail that makes this story even stranger. Light itself has no color. It's just electromagnetic waves at different wavelengths. Red doesn't exist out there in physical space. What you call the sensation of red, blue, or yellow is something created entirely inside your brain as a way of encoding and distinguishing between different wavelengths of light. It's an internal tool, not a property of the world itself. This is still an open question in cognitive science without a final answer, but it points to something important. Color is a product of the brain, not of the world. So why would the brain work this way? Why wouldn't something this intelligent just record the world accurately? The answer comes down to a very practical pressure: survival. The world around you contains an overwhelming amount of information, far too much to process in real time. If early humans had to analyze every single detail, every particle of light, before reacting to a strange sound in the bushes, they would have been too slow to escape a predator. So the brain evolved differently. Instead of processing everything, it learned to guess fast and guess well enough. It builds a simplified model of the world, good enough to help you avoid danger, find food, recognize familiar faces, while skipping almost everything else. In other words, your brain wasn't built to show you the truth. It was built to help you survive. And those two goals aren't always the same thing. And here's where everything flips. You might be thinking, so my brain is deceiving me. That sounds like a flaw that needs fixing. But the truth is the exact opposite. If your brain tried to represent the world with total, unfiltered accuracy, no shortcuts, no predictions, no filling in gaps, you would be overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information, react far too slowly, and struggle to make real-time decisions at all. What you might call a hallucination that your brain creates isn't a system failure. It's actually the very reason you're able to live, move, react, and function in a world that's too complex to fully comprehend. In other words, you don't live inside a hallucination because your brain is broken. You live because of that hallucination. Raw, unfiltered reality, with nothing edited or simplified, might not actually be the gift you'd assume it to be. It might be something you couldn't function in at all. This goes even deeper than just vision. The feeling of having one single continuous self, the sense that you're one person, unbroken from morning to night. Many cognitive researchers believe this too, is a kind of model the brain constructs to create a sense of stability, rather than something that reflects a fixed self sitting somewhere inside your head. Even your sense of time flowing smoothly, 1 second gliding into the next, is largely a product of how your brain organizes information after the fact, not a raw, unmediated experience of reality itself. You're not just seeing a reconstructed version of the world. You are living your entire human experience inside a model your brain is constantly building, editing, and updating millisecond by millisecond. So what does this actually mean for your everyday life? Next time you argue with someone because the two of you saw the exact same thing completely differently, maybe it's not because one of you is lying or being difficult. Maybe it's simply that two brains built two slightly different simulations from the same raw data. Next time you feel completely certain about a memory, a color you saw, or a feeling you experienced, remember that most of what you call reality has already passed through many layers of editing before it ever reached your conscious awareness. That doesn't mean you can't trust your senses in everyday life. Your brain, imperfect as it is still remarkably good at helping you get through the world. But it does leave you with something worth sitting with. If everything you've ever seen, felt, and believed to be real is actually just the best reconstruction your brain could manage, then who does the reality you're living inside actually belong to? What do you think? If you knew that every experience you've ever had was already edited before it reached you, would you look at your own memories and emotions any differently? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.